Hello everyone, hope you're doing great. Today I want to have a conversation about regrets. No, just kidding. I want to tell you about the two watches that I don't really wear in my collection. One is a Seiko and the other a Pagani Design. The Pagani Design. The model is Pagani Design PD1661. The diameter is 40 millimeters, thickness of 12.3 millimeters, lock width of 20 millimeters, lock to lock of 47.7 millimeters, water resistance of 100 meters. The crystal is a sapphire crystal, and the price is around 84 bucks. Now the Seiko. The model is Seiko SNE491. The diameter is 42 millimeters, the thickness 11 millimeters, lock width 21 millimeters, lock to lock 48.5, water resistance of 100 meters. The crystal is a hardlex, which is basically a mineral crystal, and the price is around 200 bucks. Now, let's start with the Pagani Design. The Pagani Design is actually a Submariner copy, or they call it a homage, and yeah, it basically borrows the same design from the Rolex Submariner, but you can't really say that it's a pirate watch because it doesn't say that it's a Rolex Submariner. It has the Pagani Design logo and name in the dial, and in no part of the page that where you buy it does it say that it's a Rolex. Yeah, it clearly states that it's a Pagani Design watch. But it has the same dimensions and the same style, it's really similar to the Rolex Submariner, okay? Yeah, actually Pagani Designs makes a lot of watches that are homages, and you can buy them in many Chinese pages, for example, AliExpress. I haven't had any problem when buying a watch there or anything else because I bought a couple of things in AliExpress for my watches and also this watch. But yeah, it's a Chinese brand that is basically a copy of a Rolex. And Pagani Designs makes many watches that are copies of other watches, yeah, or homages. Okay, they are not a pirate version because it doesn't say Rolex on the dial. Okay, now why did I buy it? I bought it because I thought that it would be cool to have a watch that looks like a Rolex so I can experience what it is like to have something that looks like a Rolex, you know, a really classic design without having to pay so much money because honestly I didn't have that much money, and even today I don't have that money to buy a really expensive watch like a Submariner, which are maybe like $8,000. Yeah, I don't have the money, and my wife wouldn't let me buy it anyway, even if I did. But yeah, I bought it to experience what it was like to have this really classic design. I knew that it wouldn't be as good as the Rolex, of course, because the Rolex is really intricately made. It has a lot of details in every part, in every aspect of the watch. You can see the details in the Rolex, which you of course do not see in this watch. This watch looks good, yeah, especially from an arm's length, yeah. But when you see the details, you can see that it's actually a cheap watch, okay? Though, of course, it has a lot of things that you would expect in a more expensive watch from, for example, Seiko, like the sapphire crystal. It also has a rotating bezel that is actually a ceramic bezel, which looks really cool. And you don't really see that in watches this cheap from other watch companies like Seiko. Yeah, you usually expect to see that in watches that are maybe 500 upwards, or 500 bucks or upwards. But yeah, this is only an $80 watch, and I think I bought it for maybe $50 because it was on sale. So yeah, I don't really regret buying it. I think I had a good experience. I could appreciate more of the watch because also I bought it when I didn't really have any experience with good watches. So I really couldn't see the details in watches, you know? When you first start collecting watches, you don't really see, you're not able to really see the details to see where the quality really is in really good watches. You only see a kind of good watch and you really like the design, or you like the colors, or you know, you like how it fits from a distance, but you don't really see the details. And with this watch, I really learned what a cheap watch looks like, you know, what a cool design looks in a cheap watch. So I can now differentiate better when I see a watch that looks nice, but it's actually cheap. Okay, so I don't really regret it. I think it was a good part of the journey, of my journey as a watch collector. This really cool watch. It actually has a really cool bracelet. I think it's one of my favorites on all my watches. It actually has solid links. It has screws to join the links together, and it has a milled clasp. Yeah, it's not a pressed-in clasp, it's milled. Yeah, it's really cool. I really like it, and I really like how it wears, how it looks. I think it looks like a really expensive watch just because of the bracelets, to be honest. It's really, really cool. The finishing of the watch is actually really cool as well. It's pretty well done for what it costs. It's less than $100, so you wouldn't expect much, but it delivers pretty well for the cost, to be honest. Also, another detail of the watch that I don't really like is the Cyclops. It has Cyclops, of course, because the original Submariner also has Cyclops, but I feel like this Cyclops is not really centered. I think it's a bit lower than it should be, and it's quite big, so yeah, I don't really like how it looks. I would rather not have a Cyclops at all. It also has a screwed-in crown, which is really, really cool, and the crown also has the Pagani Design logo. Also, you can see that in the back, you can see the movement. So that's really cool, especially for a watch this cheap, that you can see the movement. And you know, when I first started collecting watches, I really, really enjoyed to see the movement, to see everything moving right in the back. Yeah, it was really, really cool. So that's a really big positive for me. Also, the bezel, I think it's really cool. It's a ceramic bezel, which I think looks really cool. And the bezel action is good. It's really smooth and it moves really easily when you want to move it, and it doesn't really move on its own. And also it does seem to line up correctly with the 12 o'clock hour marker. See, that's really cool. Also, it has Lume in all the hour markers, in the hands, the second, minute, and hour hands, all of them has at Lume. And also on the bezel, it has a Lume pip at the 12 o'clock. Okay, see, that's really cool as well. The Lume is not really that good, yeah. It actually dims pretty quickly. But yeah, you wouldn't expect, that's what you would expect for this price point, of course. Also, some other things. Everything about its design is basically a copy of the Rolex. So you can see that the hands, the hour markers, even the bezel, and the design of the case, everything is just the same as the Rolex Submariner. Okay? But yeah, I don't really regret it. I'll probably give it away to one of my friends at some point, and hopefully he will enjoy it and he will appreciate it for what it is, you know? Again, I don't really wear it that often anymore. And honestly, it is a bit because I feel some guilt for using a copy of a Rolex instead of using, you know, the real thing. I feel a bit guilty for using just a copy, just a homage. So that's one of the reasons why I don't wear it as often. Also, I feel like maybe someone will look at it and think that I actually have a Rolex and then see that it's just a homage and I don't know, judge me. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why I don't really wear it anymore. But I really like it. I don't regret buying it. Now, for the Seiko. The Seiko, I actually bought it in a store called Kohl's. My wife was traveling to Disneyland, and I left her at the airport with her mother, yeah, so they could go to Disneyland for her bachelorette travel, yeah, when we were getting married. And I decided to go see some watches, yeah, in Kohl's. I wanted to see what I could find, and I actually found this watch. the Seiko. I really didn't have any watches at the moment. I believe I only had the Orient that I will be showing you in the future, the one that my wife bought for me for our wedding. And yeah, I think that was the only one other than my childhood watch that I also told you about already. And of course, the watch of my great grandfather. But yeah, other than that, those were the only ones that I had. So I wanted a cool watch, and I had heard about Seiko at the moment, so I was really excited to have found a Seiko, and it was actually really cheap. I knew that it was around $200 because I looked it up right when I was in the store, but they told me that this watch was actually only $60. Yeah, you could buy it for only $60, and it was a Seiko, and it was a solar Seiko. So yeah, I thought it was really cool, and I really wanted to buy it. It was also a formal watch, and I was really into formal watches at the moment. So yeah, I couldn't wait. I decided to buy it. I just called my wife to tell her that I was buying another watch, and yeah, she told me it was okay because it was really cheap for what it was, of course. Actually, I didn't have any battery in my cell phone, so I had to ask the lady that was selling me this watch if she had a charger, a Type-C charger, so that I could call my wife and tell her that I wanted to buy the watch. And she did have a charger, so I charged my battery, I called my wife, I told her, and then I could buy it. Yeah, I bought it from the lady, yeah. And I was really happy to have a Seiko watch. I wore it for quite a while, but then I started to understand that it was really big for me. Yeah, it was really big for my wrist, especially because it's supposed to be a formal watch. So it being a formal watch, you usually would expect it to be smaller than a regular watch. And I think this is really big, even for a regular watch, let alone a formal watch. Yeah, it's way too big for my wrist, to be honest. Though I still think it's a really cool watch. I still like how it looks. Yeah, I think the dial is really cool. I think it's interesting, a really interesting dial, and it looks really cool, especially being a solar powered watch. I also really like that it's a solar powered watch. I think that makes it a really cool watch. And yeah, it actually came in a leather strap, which made it look more formal, and I really liked it. It actually looked a lot like the leather strap in my Orient watch. So yeah, I liked that strap. But I changed it, and at some point I made this strap. Actually, it's made by me. It was the first strap that I made. I think it came out looking really rough. But yeah, it's not that bad. But yeah, for my first strap, I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty well done. I think I did a good job. For it being the first strap that I ever made. I'll probably make another watch strap at some point. But yeah, I put it on this one just because I don't wear it, to be honest. I actually really like the handset that it has. The second hand looks really cool, and the other hands are really nice. You can see that one of the sides is really smooth. It has sort of like a mirror side, and then a sanded down side. So it's really easy to read most times. The hour markers are actually not as easy to read. Sometimes, depending on the light, they can be lost to the dial. So yeah, that's not as good, but the hands are really good. Yeah, because it has two finishes on either side. So yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I also really like that it's really thin, it being only 11 millimeters, which makes it a lot more formal, which I actually really like as well. I would actually recommend this watch because I think it's really cool, but I would recommend it only if you have a thicker wrist than I do. I have actually at around 6.5 inches in diameter wrist. So if you have a thicker wrist, I would definitely recommend it for you. Maybe a 7-inch wrist or even bigger. I would definitely recommend it because it is a really nice watch. I really like it. Maybe not for $200. I think get other alternatives for that price, which are better quality and more and look better, to be honest. But yeah, either way, I would still recommend it. I actually am thinking about giving it away to one of my friends, which he has a really thick wrist, so it would wear really nice on him. Actually, it is a solar watch, and you can see in some of the videos that I took that it's actually moving twice, moving every 2 seconds and moving twice, which means that the battery is almost empty. Yeah. So even if it being a solar watch, it's almost empty because I never wear it. Yeah. Also, I have a strap that looks really cool on this Seiko. It is a wrist candy watch, blue black melange Perlon, which I think looks really, really cool on this watch because it really fits well with the blue dial. And yeah, actually, if I wore this watch, it will probably be with that strap. Though, yeah, it's really difficult to buy straps for this watch because it has 21 millimeters in in lock width, which yeah, it's probably the worst part of this watch, which it also has in common with my Orient watch that I'll be telling you about later. Which yeah, it's a real pain. Yeah, honestly, if I was to go back in time, I probably would not buy a watch with 21 millimeter locks, just because it's really a pain to find straps for it. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for listening. Yeah, I wanted to go through these watches, even though again I no longer wear them, but I think they are an important part of my watch collection. I think they were an important part of my journey as a watch collector. And yeah, I don't regret buying them again. Though, yeah, I think everyone comes to a point where they buy a watch that they want to gift away at some point, or yeah, that they no longer want, or even regret buying. So yeah, I think there were important parts of my journey. Very well. Also, I wanted to thank my sister's boyfriend, Omar, for letting me borrow this camera. Hopefully you notice the difference in quality between last video and this one. This is a Canon. This camera is really, really cool. It's a Canon EOS 200D. Yeah, previously I used my wife's camera, my wife's cell phone, which is actually a Pixel 6 Pro, which takes really cool videos as well. But yeah, I think this is a really big improvement over that one. Even though the videos that I'm taking of the watches are still taken with the Pixel 6 Pro, just because this camera doesn't have a stabilizer, so it's not that good for dynamic video. But yeah, I really, really enjoy it, and hopefully you also notice the improvement in quality. Very well. Also, again, I hope you're seeing the improvement in my editing skills. Hopefully, I'll leave you with a cool montage of the watches. Also, I also hope that you enjoyed the montage in the last video, in the video about the DW5600, which I really, really enjoyed. Yeah, also my English hopefully is getting better as well. Very well. I've really enjoyed doing these videos. Hopefully you're enjoying them as well. Hopefully you can be with me throughout this journey. And yeah, hopefully you're enjoying all these videos. This is actually the fourth video that I'm making, and I'm about to make another one soon. Though in 2 weeks, I'm going to Oklahoma City. So I'm not sure how that would be for these videos. I might have to record the video previously, or even today, the same day that I'm recording this one. But yeah, you will see. Hopefully, I'll also take some good, cool pictures of Oklahoma and some cool videos of Oklahoma City. I'm going with my wife. It's for work, but yeah. Hopefully, you've been enjoying to be with me in this journey. Very well. Thank you very much for watching. See you next week. Take care. Bye bye.